On today's show, we've got a SensCentral Citizen. Great conversation with Tanner.
Tanner tells us about having possibly the first Sens Linus Ullmark jersey, the importance of a strong start, and who his X Factor player is for this season.
Not only X Factors, but some hot takes as well. This is Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. You can follow the show on social media. We're at SensCentral on Twitter. You can find us everywhere you get podcasts and free on YouTube. Today is Wednesday, August 14th, and Pilsy, we are less than a month away from seeing Senators jerseys flying around on the ice.
Yes, it is the Sens rookie camp, so not quite the real thing, but hey, we'll take it. We'll get ice, Sens jersey, a puck flying around, and I'll be happy to watch that. But certainly the hype for the season is starting to get there. Although, Ross, I got to say, credit to Sens fans, I have not seen the overhyped, this year's different, this is going to be our year, playoffs or bust, or any big, bold proclamations from Sens fans. We've all calmed down and we've been waiting quietly for the season to start. So I think that is a good sign.
You know the old saying, once bitten, twice shy, third time, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. And I think that's probably where Sens fans are at right now, is cautiously optimistic.
And there's a lot to be optimistic, and Tanner gets into that, but you're right. It's just like, look, how many times can you trip over your own shoelaces? Let's get through October. Let's get through November and treat those like playoff games, because frankly, there may as well be an importance, the same height from the fan base, from the players, from the coaching staff to hit the ground running like they said they're going to do the last two seasons, and it just hasn't developed. So I think it's critical to be out of that first 9-game October with at least 5 victories, and you'd like that most of them come at home in front of the fans that have been so anxiously awaiting good hockey consistently.
Well, Ross, we're going to be doing our 7-game series along the season. It's a little bit sad, I will admit, for Habs, Red Wings fans. Hate watching this right now. Go ahead, clip this, laugh at Sens fans.
August?
They're doing make-believe playoff series in the season. I get it. It's pathetic. But that's where we're at, and we're going to take it 7 games at a time. I think our friend Tanner, big Turris guy, big Brady Tkachuk guy, will appreciate the 7-game sets, and that's how we're going to cope with this.
And the 7th game of the season is at Vegas
a
Friday night. And Ottawa it's been a house of horrors for the Ottawa Senators. So what better way to evaporate the curse than a late October 25th to be exact? And there's some beef in that game, Pilsy, because we do have to quickly get into this. How about Ilya Samsonov, now Vegas Golden Knights jersey, coming at Linus Ullmark in Instagram comments, telling him to basically shut up. And I think this stems from comments that Ullmark made after the playoff series between the two teams, this year, where he said, look, I'm surprised they didn't go to Joseph Woll sooner.
Yeah, Ross, rookie social media mistake by Ilya Samsonov, not flipping over to the burner account there. Because what confused me about this is his first comment was like 10 with a heart. I'm not the social media whisperer, so maybe you can tell me like what he meant by that, or what, like,
I don't know, the heart, maybe. Like, I thought he would go with like the clown emoji.
But was he saying like, I'm glad he's 10th, or like 10th is too high, or like, I'm not able to translate that.
No, I can't either. But I
Okay.
do know that with the follow-up with him being like, oh, don't be hurt next time we play. Funny enough, he didn't even say next time.
Exactly.
two
Yeah,
teams
that's
play.
also a confusing thing. Yeah, maybe Samsonov just knows he's not getting that start early in the season. He's probably going to get it later on. So maybe he's going with that. I don't know.
The road start in November. Because, yeah, he's like November 21, like it's on. And you look, and the two teams are playing, but they also play October 25th. Hey, I'd like it on record. Give me Ilya Samsonov October 25th in the Fortress in Vegas.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you.
Very strange because I didn't see Ilya Samsonov's name anywhere in the top 10 NHL Network's goalies in the league. Maybe he was 65 or 66. If you know, you know. We know we've got a great Citizen coming up. Without further ado, let's shoot it over to Tanner. You're listening to Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. You guys know GameTime is the official ticketing app of the Locked On Podcast Network. We love GameTime. GameTime is going to make getting out to the ballpark this summer so much easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. They got killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from their seat, and a lowest price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I've been looking on GameTime, Ross. I'm trying to get to a Jays game this summer for Looney Dog Day. I was there last season when we broke, and I say we, everyone at the ballpark broke the hot dogs record. It was like
all dogs matter.
All dogs matter. Yeah. It was like 77,000 hot dogs.
What?
Yeah, it was nuts. And I remember I was at a different ballpark, I forget where, and they were doing a hot dog count, and they were in like the 30,000s, and they thought they're doing something big, and I was like, nah, this is weak. So if you want to get out to, if you're in the GTA area, get out to a Looney Dog Day. I believe it's every Tuesday home game for the rest of the season.
Wear your Sens gear.
Wear your Sens gear. Yeah, people love that. And get your tickets on GameTime. If you get your tickets on GameTime with a killer last minute deal and you're buying $1 hot dogs, you can have a really great time on a great price budget and do that with GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime, not just sports either. If you guys want to go to concerts, comedy, and theater, check out GameTime as well. But download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our great friends at the GLEBE Central Pub. Look, the vibes are free at GCP. You know that, and so do we. That's why we make sure that every time we're in Ottawa that we go have a good time at the GCP. They've got the most welcoming staff. We love the feeling that we get when we go in there, sit down. It's that classic bar vibe, a little bit darker, but a lot of energy. And they make sure that energy is brought to the tip-top shape when they do all sorts of events, from live music every Saturday night at the GCP, where you can just chill out and let the entertainment come to you. Or if you're more of like hey, I like moving around when I'm at the bar, how about grabbing some darts and going over and trying to get some bullseyes with your friends? It's always a welcoming atmosphere at the GLEBE Central Pub, but don't let that overshadow the great food and drinks that you'll also get when you go to the GCP. I'm talking about the Smash Burger, one of my personal favorites. They've got the classic like the wings, and I'm a big fan of the Buffalo Chicken Caesar wrap.
Hey, that's mine.
People get on me for it, but isn't it nice for a quick lunch? Because you can grab and go at the GCP, or you can really settle in for a marathon evening. It's all at 779 Bank Street. It's right in the heart of the Glebe, walking distance from Lansdowne. So if you're heading to a Red Blacks game, those guys are on fire. You know that you can stop by at the GLEBE Central Pub, 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. The vibes are free at the GCP. Now let's get to our SensCentral Citizen. This is Tanner. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. We've got Tanner Ryel here with us, and he's wearing a brand new jersey we'll get into. But first, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, boys. Stoked to be on. Listening every day, so it's good to come on and talk some sense today. And yeah, this brand new jersey that I'm sure we're going to get into.
Well, is it an immediate evolution from the one hanging behind you? That Kyle Turris one plays all day, every day.
Oh man, that's my one of my signed jerseys. But I'm sure we're going to talk about. He was my favorite player when I was growing up. But no, I've got quite a few. I think 3 or 4 of them on a rack just off to the side. So this is just the last of the Adidas ones, probably before they make the switch here.
Well, maybe we'll have to see that jersey collection at the end, because we love people bringing out the gear. But we got to start it off like we start every SensCentral Citizen. Tanner, how did you become an Ottawa Senators fan?
Oh, easy question. I mean, there's not really a story here, but I was born one. So growing up, my family, my dad, and even more so his dad, my grandpa, huge Montreal Canadiens fans, the biggest. My dad's got an old Patrick Waugh trading card collection and all that. Allegedly, I was a Habs fan whenever I was born, and they put me in a Habs jersey and stuff. I still feel my skin burning a little bit.
Yeah.
But then when my mom had me off on maternity leave, she brainwashed me into becoming a Sens fan, as my dad would put it. But she's been a Sens fan forever. She's got like a signed Alexei Yashin jersey put away somewhere. She went to university at Carleton, so I think that's kind of when it started. But yeah.
Well, so we've got your mom to thank for that. Thank goodness, right?
For sure, for sure.
How would your life be different if you were a Habs fan right now?
Oh, I don't know, but definitely some of my fondest memories are those old playoff series, like in the early 2010s, going back and forth with them. I was watching every game with my grandpa, like the Pajot game and stuff like that. You know, so some great memories in there.
Well, there should have been another Pajot game, but remember that quick whistle in Game 6, the elimination game in 2015? Man. I mean, like Carey Price needed any more help that series, right?
I know.
Oh man, but that 2013 series, like it's the greatest game in Sens history outside the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 3, obviously they get the one win, but Game 3 of that series, being in attendance for it, like not even the line brawl, but you mentioned Pajot and all the storylines.
Oh,
the first
line brawl,
goal, didn't Subban take his tooth out on one of his goals too? I think stick came up. So yeah, that's super memorable moments. But what were your first memories inside the CTC? If you've been going there, you got the big headphones on. I picture you as one of those babies that's, you know, you're worried about the big loud noises. Were you going to the CTC at a young age?
Yeah, so I mentioned before, but I grew up in Prescott, Brockville. So my parents would come up probably 2 games out of the year, more often than not. I think my earliest memory, I couldn't tell you what game it was. It was probably around 06, 07. So I would have been 5-6 years old. I know I'm dating myself a little bit there, but I remember it was one of my dad's friends had season seat tickets at the time and gave it up. It was actually Habs versus Sens. And we were right up against the glass behind Ray Emery in net. Woo. I don't remember the score or any details of the game, but the Sens won it. Yeah, it's definitely my earliest memory there. I think I gained a lot of my early knowledge from playing like the old NHL games. Like I spent a ton of time on like NHL 03, NHL 05. Used to love playing as like Marian Hossa and lighting it up on the Leafs. So yeah, those are definitely some of the earliest memories.
Ross, did you find the game? Ross is usually pretty good at
I know he's good with
couple
it.
tidbits of info, and he's got it.
I couldn't do that one. Not quick.
It's a little too vague, probably. But
I bet you the Sens won though if they're playing the Habs.
They did. They won. That's all I remember. They won, and Ray Emery was in net probably around 06, 07, somewhere in there.
That's the best, man. Well, if it was in Montreal, the first thing that comes to mind when you say that, Emery got suspended against Montreal. It was right after the fight, because I think he might have got a game too for taking on Andrew Peters in that line brawl with Buffalo. But right when he came back, I think somebody in Montreal fell into his crease, and as he was still like laying down, getting up, he may have flipped his stick and given him a little whack in the face. So nothing a good rivalry can't handle, right?
Yeah, we need more of that, honestly. It was fun.
Right,
I went to one of the Habs and Sens games last year, and it's the one where we blew them out. I mean, I guess that always happens these days, but it's just so fun telling the fans to beat the traffic. And
was that the game? Because we're doing on Friday top moments of the season, and no spoilers, Pilsy.
Oh boy!
But that video that ended up getting deleted of all the Habs fans leaving the building at the end of it must have been that game. where the Jumbotron caught it. I think it was the final.
Yes, it was that game.
And Anlauer was there. Yeah, and he didn't like that because he's like, hey, those are my old friends. Don't make fun of them too hard just yet. We'll bring Anlauer around to Chirping Habs, but it's a little too soon, maybe. So you mentioned a couple of the players from your early days. Who are the ones you really latched onto? I want to hear about your Kyle Turris stories here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think early on it was Alfie because everybody latched onto him. I actually had a fish named Alfie when I was a kid.
Nice.
Red beta fish. I liked Hossa a lot, but yeah, I think the first that as I was kind of getting older and I really latched onto was Kyle Turris because I think he's just so underrated and like sneaky good. And yeah, I met him at one of like the Canadian Tire rally tours they did years and years ago. Bought that jersey. I think I saved up from like Christmas money and stuff, and he signed it. It's got like a Tanner best wishes Turris autograph on it. And I think it was one game in particular that I went to. You might actually be able to narrow this one down because I remember some of the more details about it. Sens Washington Capitals, probably around 2014, 15, 16, somewhere in there. Ottawa was leading 3-0. They blew the lead. Washington came back and tied it 3-3, went to OT, and Turris scored the winner on this insane breakaway in OT. And the place just came unglued. It was an awesome game.
Man.
I do know that game. Wasn't that during the Hamburglar run?
I think it was.
4-3 OT win. Kyle Turris overtime goal.
That's it.
We're gonna play who scored all three of the Sens goals in the first period because I had an alternative experience. My one game of the Hamburglar run. Mine was the Mark Stone overtime where he tied it and then scored again. And it was right around Easter for that one. But they went down 3-0 in the first period of that game. And Hammond let in a goal 10 seconds in. I was like, oh no, did I break the Hamburglar?
Yeah.
You must have been thinking like, I'm the missing sauce here for a playoff spot. Who do you think may have scored those three goals? It's some iconic names in Sens history.
Trying to think around that time period. Stone, I'll throw out there.
Stone had the first goal of the game. You're 1 for 1. You're already better than Pilsy at this trivia game.
Hey,
what about Hoffman in there?
No,
remember that was a sick line.
No Hoffman.
Bobby Ryan, maybe.
Bobby had assist on the second goal.
Oh, did Turris score another, or was it just the OT?
No, just the OT. Couple power play goals. I'll give you one more guess.
Oh, man. Was it from a defenseman there at all?
2 forwards and one got traded after the following season.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a good giveaway, actually. Someone's punching their car.
Oh, Duchesne. Was it Duchesne?
No, a little early for that. We're going 2015. It was Clark MacArthur.
That was one of my guesses too.
And then it was Mika Zibanejad with the.
Man. Okay, I thought that was after Zibanejad.
Yeah, but the Turris OT one. Hoffman did get a penalty, so we'll give you that. He found his way onto the score sheet, Tanner. But was that period of Sens hockey kind of what made you fall in love, or were you already locked in at that initial phase? Because if you mentioned Turris being one of your favorite players, was it kind of once they made that trade in 2012, or were you still watching the Danny Heatley end of his era that time frame?
I don't think I was like hardcore watching because I was so young, but definitely like a casual fan. I had, the Sens gear and I'd go to the odd game and stuff. I knew who Heatley was and all that. I was playing the games, but I think I really got locked in like probably around 2012. So kind of catching Alfie's last couple of years and then transitioning into like the Carlson era. And I think I just became more of like that hardcore fan in the Stone, Turris, Hoffman, that sort of era. So that's kind of the memories that I have associated with the Sens a little bit more. And then now it's just, on another level. Definitely checked out for a little bit during the rebuilding times, but it was pretty easy to come back in. I was actually working at 580 CFRA and next door, of course, TSN 1200. And I just hear one of the guys go, "Oh my God, Claude Giroux just signed with the Sens." And I was like, okay, that's a name I kind of remember there. And then I heard them talking about DeBrincat and eventually Talbot. And I was like, okay, I think I'm back in now. Started watching that season. So the year we had DeBrincat and all that, got right back into it. I think my first game back was Sens in the Seattle Kraken. First thing I do when I walk into the CTC, right to the Sens store, buy a Brady Tkachuk jersey. And then into the stands, Brady scores the first goal. Timmy gets a hat trick. And we lose 8-4.
Yeah, that was, man, every game they play against the Kraken is like the worst hockey ever. Like, even though that is exciting, like, ask Tim Stützle how he felt about that hat trick after the game.
Man.
But now there's no doubt you're all the way in. You're even wearing a jersey of a guy who's never played a game for the team yet. Linus Ullmark. Do you think you may have the first Linus Ullmark jersey out of the shell?
I might. I know. I think one thing I really like is I feel like I'm probably gonna have one of the few Adidas ones before they do the switch over to Fanatics. But yeah, this was a total surprise. I was telling you guys before the show, but they gave out calendars at the New Year's Eve game against the Buffalo Sabres, and it was like the first 1,000, 5,000 fans, something like that. Every few days, you scan a QR code. Sometimes it's behind the scenes video. Sometimes it's a trivia game or a giveaway. I think another time I got like a 15% off at the Sens store and bought like a hoodie. But this one day it happened to be a Linus Ullmark giveaway draw, and spin the wheel. And of course you won. And I mean, I jumped out of my seat. I was like, what? Free jersey? I mean, sign me up. So I went to the CTC like the next day and picked it up. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be rocking this at the home opener for sure.
Oh, it's so good, man. So what's the expectation for Linus Ullmark?
I mean, can we get that extension done? Hopefully, I'd like to see him become our new starter going forward for the next number of years. I mean, I've watched so much of his play over the last couple of weeks, but I think what really sold me on him at first was his interviews. Just seems like the ultimate vibes guy. Such a good personality. I think the leadership quality he's going to bring to the room is so underrated. Like, you don't think about that from a goalie, but someone who's been on a team with Patrice Bergeron and guys like that for years and done these deep playoff runs, not to mention his regular season from a couple years ago. And then just looking at his stats, I mean, if we get his worst season of save percentage this year, it's a massive upgrade. I mean, I went to enough games last year. I was at 11 games last season. I saw enough of Korpisalo. Like, get that out of here. Let's put a legit starter in there and see what happens.
Do you have any pause where you're like, look, we could go through the list, the Matt Murray, Cam Talbot, Eunice Korpisalo, and even some lesser contractual value guys, but are you worried at all?
I mean, I don't think any of them came with the pedigree of a Vezina trophy 2 seasons ago and just the numbers he's put up. That said, I've been like super superstitious about it. Like, I'm in a group chat with my friends and they're like, oh yeah, let's buy Ullmark jerseys right away. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving him any bad juju. We're not getting jerseys or anything. And of course,
wearing a jersey
I end up winning one a week later. And they're like, I thought we were getting Ullmark jerseys. And I was like, well, it was free. Okay, maybe this is a sign that things
so
are
now you have to
well
lean into it. I need you and all your boys sitting front row behind the Sens net in a game early next season, just to give him that extra layer of support. Because I agree with you. It's just the way he comes off, the leadership, and don't discount the fact that he's coming from a winning organization where the expectation is just a little bit higher than maybe it is for other areas and other rooms across the league.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm rocking this at the home opener. I'm going to be wearing a lot this season. I almost feel like I should just give the people.
Yeah. Let's see a little spin. Oh yeah. It looks just as good as I pictured.
Oh yeah.
Look
Linus
at that.
Ullmark right there. I'm kind of wishing all of your buddies secretly bought an Ullmark jersey without telling everyone. And you're like, I won this jersey. And they're like, well, actually, we've all already bought them too. Like, that would be just perfect. So we'll be looking out for the Ullmark crew.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Tanner. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pilsy has got a word from our friends with eBay Motors.
Yes, eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, but it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and even level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, yep, roof racks, exhaust kits, of course, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. It's that simple. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not burning cash. With all the parts you need, but at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Check it out today, guys. eBay Motors. Tanner, we've been asking all our SensCentral citizens this question, and we've got pretty much all different answers. Ross, maybe you can tell me if we haven't, but who is your X Factor player for the Ottawa Senators this season? I'm gonna assume it might be Ullmark, but let's hear what you got.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be. I think our biggest weakness last year was goaltending, so it's an immediate upgrade. It's got to work out. But I think it will. It seems a lot safer than maybe some of our other areas. I think I love Ullmark, don't get me wrong, but I think what I'm thinking about X Factor and something that really needs to work, I'm looking at Nick Jensen, because I think Thomas Chabot really needs a solid defensive partner that he's been lacking for so many years now. We've got our top pair set in stone. I don't think anyone wants to split up Sanderson and Zub, but Chychrun it did not work out with Chabot, and we need Chabot to be able to play at his best. And I really hope that having Nick Jensen on his right side lets him do that, lets him get back to the player that we know he can be. So I think in terms of X Factor, like there's guys we really need to work out. We need Ullmark to be an amazing goaltender, or even just, average.
We don't need him to be amazing.
We don't need
we'll
amazing.
Take average.
We need like a 9-10 would be great.
Yeah,
905 even. I'll take that. But I'm looking at Jensen. I guess Norris would be the other big one. Like, man, we need him to be healthy. We need him scoring goals.
Tanner, I'm keeping track of this, and we're going to do it in a preseason episode. So I know that's your podium, Norris, Jensen, Ullmark. But is Jensen the answer? That's number one for you?
I think if I had to pick a number one, it'd be Jensen. It just seems a lot safer. I think Ullmark's going to work out and be an upgrade from Korpisalo. It's a pretty safe bet. But Jensen, we need that shutdown right D we've been lacking.
And that's fair. Just quickly hop in here. I think because the X Factor, if you know a guy's gonna be good and he's gonna provide what he needs to, he's not really an X Factor. Like that's just what he does. The X Factor is his season could either go down the tubes or it could bring everything together. So I like that way of thinking.
Yeah, especially on a guy where his career year was far from last year, but just more so has a longer term pedigree that he's a reliable type player. So I'm with you, Tanner. I think you nailed all three of them. Like that is the core of what's going to make or break this season. If you want to get into more strategic areas where those guys are included, power play obviously has to be a bit better. Where are you at with the coaching staff, Tanner? Was there an immediate shock when it was Travis Green after all we heard about was the Berubes and the Dean Evasons of the world? Or how are you looking at the bench going into next season?
I mean, it was hard not to be like a little bit disappointed when a name like Craig Berube is out there, but I think realistically, we probably weren't going to get him.
And he's overrated anyways.
Yeah, that's
we don't need him. Like total bum. But I like Green. He's grown on me. I think his media availabilities and like his behind the scenes breakaway thing that the Sens put out are growing on me. I think we need a hard camp, and if that's what he's gonna bring, then I'm all for it. Really like the assistants they pulled too. I think Yo's a really good get. Love that Alfie's continuing to stay on the bench. Baumgartner. Yeah, I think I like the coaching staff. I can't judge without seeing results. Like it's been so bad. We can't blame them at the same time, but I need to see results before I really am like, okay, yeah, this was a good move.
Yeah, and that's fair. How do you feel about how the offseason went generally? Like I feel like there's two sides of Sens fans. There's Sens fans that are like, well, what we did was pretty underwhelming, especially after Sens fans have had splashes of star talent dropped into this team seemingly every offseason for the past 3 years, and that didn't work out. So Steve Stais and Ann Lara said, let's get solid, dependable, veteran guys that have won before, your Amadios, your Perrons. Did Jensen win a cup with the Caps too?
No, just missed.
You're removed.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, not a winner. But did you like that new approach of being like, hey, let's just not get as much talent as possible. Let's try to properly place these pieces, or were you underwhelmed?
I mean, I don't think I'm underwhelmed. It's felt quiet this summer for sure, especially when you compare it to last year.
Which is comforting a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for content, it was probably great for you guys last year with the sale and the Pinto thing and DeBrincat and all this stuff, but it's been kind of nice.
Tanner, I run out of thumbnail photos of Shane Pinto in our library with USA Today, from the contract, the suspension, all that. So we're okay having him locked up for 2 years now. For sure.
But I mean, I love the Ullmark move. I mean, that one's awesome. I'm so stoked about it. Even before I got the jersey, I mean, That's all I was talking about when Game 7 was going on of the Cup final. I'm like, we have Linus Ullmark. Like, man, this is awesome. But yeah, I like that.
We're gonna be here next year.
Yeah, he's right. I don't have to watch Corpusalo play another game. Like, I feel like we paid to dump him and we got Ullmark for free with what we ended up paying. But otherwise, I think it's the right move. Like, we've got enough skill. Sure, we lost some skill with some of those like sexier names, like your Chikrins, your Josevs. But I think the complementary pieces we got back are going to make us tougher to play against, and we're going to be grittier. You got 2 more Stanley Cup rings in the room, which I think is really important. You need those guys that have fought in those battles. Wasn't thrilled about Perron at first, as I'm sure many Sens fans were, but he's grown on me a little bit, especially some of the media availabilities he's done. But I think my favorite, aside from Ullmark, is probably Mike Amadio. I think he could be a sneaky good depth add, and I'm really hoping that works out, like on the third line, some more depth scoring. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've been overwhelmed, but I think they made the right move by kind of steadying the ship and rounding things out a little bit more behind our skill guys.
Can we just call Pillsy out for calling Nick Jensen a loser?
No, whoa. I said not a winner. You can go back and check the tape. I did not call him a loser. I said not a winner.
Interesting. Would you consider somebody who wins a championship trophy a winner?
Yes.
Okay, well, he's a Clark Cup USHL champion. So we got winners in the room,
There
Pillsy.
we go.
We got winners in the room.
He's a winner.
You're a winner too, Tanner. We really appreciate you being on with us. You can go follow Tanner on social media. You can find him on Twitter at Ryel Tanner. Tanner, give me a hot take going into this season.
Ooh, I've got a few here. I'll start off with a fiery one. I'm looking at Timmy, 100 points.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say more than one power play goal.
Yeah, that's right. Doubles his power play goals.
That's a good one.
I'd
like to see that.
Out of that 100 goal, out of that 100 points, how many goals?
I'm going to say at least 35.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
So we're not saying like, oh, career high 40 plus, but playmaker, better wingers overall. Those guys are going to produce. So if Timmy's getting, in this case, quick math guy, at least 65 assists, is Brady setting a career high in points or in goals as well? More than 37?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Brady's hitting 40.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
So 40 goals for Brady, 100 points for Timmy. That'd be winning hockey. You know what? Look, I'm not a plus minus truther or anything like that. But if those two could be somewhere above plus 15, that to me is almost as important as the points this year.
Honestly, if I have to sacrifice some points for that, I'll take it.
You'll chip off 10 points for Timmy?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll go 90 points and plus 20 for Timmy.
I mean, it's better than 70, so I'll take it.
Yeah, it is. It is. Man, what's your first wow moment with Timmy? Was it the hat trick against Seattle, or had you already known? Obviously, maybe you see on TV that first career NHL goal. You knew he was special, but you're a guy who gets the CTC. What was your wow moment getting to see him live? Because he's special.
Oh, man, there's so many of them. It'd probably be the hat trick. I think that's the easy one. That was the first game I ever saw him live in. It's hard not to mention Sweden as well. I mean, that was so good. I remember him blowing past Crosby. That was so awesome last season when he dangled this generational guy who's been the face of the league for so long and blew right past him like he was a third pair defenseman.
Oh, and then ripped it in. Sick. You got to finish. He finished the play.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Pillsy, you got any final questions for Tanner?
Final one for me, just because we haven't really hashed this one up in a while. Who would be your next Ring of Honor candidate?
Ooh. I like that.
Because I've been back and forth on a couple, but Ian mentioned one that I think is gonna happen this season.
And if you want to lead into who, do you think that there should be somebody immediately, like this upcoming season? Should we have another Ring of Honor induction?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah,
for sure. I think this season you put Jacques Martin in.
Yeah,
I think it's the easy slam dunk one, especially with how much he meant to the team last year, and still being around the organization now. It's the best coach in Sens franchise history. You've got to do it.
A slam dunk. I agree with you on that one. What was your immediate reaction when you saw him come in last year?
I mean, I was ready for anything at that point. I was at a couple of those games where we were chanting "Fire DJ" pretty loud. A lot of the games early on in the season that weren't going so well. So honestly, I didn't really care at that point who we were going to get. I think DJ just had to go. And I think Jacques was the easiest kind of slide in. That steady Steve move where he gets a bit more time to pick who the replacement is. But yeah, I was all for it at that time. And I love what he brought to the room. And I think the big thing for me is I noticed immediately in the post-game press conferences just how much more detail he was giving in any sort of feedback. You know, it wasn't, oh, the bounces weren't going our way tonight. I mean, if I heard that again, I was going to smash my TV.
Crazy.
It's insane. I was going to go crazy. But just hearing him break down exactly where they went wrong in a game or exactly what Tim Stützle needs to do better was an immediate improvement. And I really hope we continue to see that from Travis Green.
Tanner, we've seen what the improvement looked like over time, but we also know what the biggest issue with this team's been. It's been the starts. And I'm pulling up, if you're watching on YouTube, the October schedule. How many of these games need to be wins for you to have confidence going into that pesky November? We're looking at, I believe, 9 games here, 5 of them at home, and quite a few of them against teams that were maybe a bit underperforming last season as well.
Well, let's take a look here. I mean, Montreal, that's an automatic win.
Yeah,
so
that's a free
there's
card
one
on the bingo.
already.
Yeah.
Out of 9, I'm going to say at least 6 I'll go with.
Okay.
I think we need a real hot start. I know that Florida one's probably going to be tough. You know, Avs, Vegas, those will be tough ones as well. But I feel like the other ones are pretty winnable games overall. But yeah, I'm eyeing up those ones for sure.
That Tampa game, the second Saturday of the season, it's an afternoon game at home, first Saturday home game of the season, and finishing off a 3-game homestand for the week. I think that's a big key game that I'm going to circle early. Pilsy, maybe a little must-win game early in the season, but you're not make or break on the home opener. What really bothers me about this one, Tanner, is Florida already has a game before. So they're going to come in. The banner's going to be up in Florida. They have their first game on, I think, Tuesday against Boston. Then they get the travel day, a rest, feeling good, and then get to come into that game against a team they've really manhandled the last few times they've played.
Yeah, I know. I was at one of the games last year. It wasn't pretty. One of the only games we almost considered leaving early last time, but we ended up sticking it out.
Oh, was that the one where Kachuk fought Sanderson? Or was it
no, it wasn't that one. It was the one after that. So already going
the other
into
5-0
it, we were like,
game.
Yeah, going into it, we were even like, man, if this is like last time, this isn't going to be a fun night. But
no, not at all. Awesome.
I ended up buying a jersey that night, so it wasn't like totally worthless. But
well, that's
I do.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I lost it, but anyways.
Oh, all good. Well,
Wasn't
I've
a
got
total loss there. Yeah.
Final question for you, because you mentioned jersey there. Let's see the collection real quick before you go.
For sure.
It's one of our favorite things to do. The amount of passion and I can see you've got the 2 there. So let's see what else you have in the closet.
For sure. I'm gonna grab them real quick off the rack. I think that'd be a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Pilsy, nothing gets me fired up like SensCentral Citizen segments on Locked On Sens. Like, we've got a few in the hopper too coming the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're on quite the roll.
Here we go.
The collection here.
Nice.
So we got a blank that's got a bunch of autographs on here.
Okay. That looks like an old practice jersey.
Yeah, it's an old practice jersey. I think it's like
Nice.
a youth large or youth extra large from when I was younger. But we got CC, Turris, Stone, Phillips, Ben Bishop, and Borokop on there.
Okay, nice.
Quite the collection on that
Might have
one.
been the only piece of Sens merch Ben Bishop signed. He was here for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was just after a game. Like when he came down the tunnel, he stayed for like 20 minutes and signed everybody's autographs. It was awesome. That won me over right there. I was fully on the keep Ben Bishop thing, and then they traded him. But
you're on the front lines of it. Good.
We got a signed Chris Phillips. I didn't get this one signed myself. I think my dad won it at like a golf tournament or something, or my grandpa.
Big rig.
Then into the modern ones. Like I said at that Seattle game, first one I picked up, first game back after the pandemic. We got Brady.
Love it.
And then last
big number
season,
7 guy.
Yeah, really. Last
and
season I ended
Randy
up
Cunnyworth.
Yeah. Last season I ended up picking up 3 jerseys throughout the entire year.
3.
There you go. Reverse
retro. We got
Load.
G. Reverse retro. It was on sale at the
nice.
Sens store. They had them for like $70 around Boxing Day. So I grabbed it and then just threw the name and the numbers on there, got it stitched. And then 2 more here. We got the first white one.
Timmy.
We got Timmy.
Stutzla.
Yeah.
And then the one I picked up at that Florida game, which was probably the one I was going to be wearing to the home opener before I ended up going and getting this one. We got Jake Sanderson.
Oh, yeah. You're locked and
Nice.
loaded. You got the
Yeah.
whole core locked up. We got
Seriously.
Brady, Timmy, Sanderson, Ullmark, Giroux.
Whew.
That's the
As
thing. I
current
don't want guys
Senators.
that are going to be gone.
Gee, that might be the most comprehensive current core collection that we've ever seen
Yeah.
on a SensCentral Citizen segment. Tanner, an awesome way to end this off. Really appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you at the home opener, and keep living the passionate way you are, because you got the hat, the jersey combo. We love to see it, man. And you'll see a few more wins at the CTC this year. I'm pretty confident in that. So thanks for joining us today.
For sure. I hope we do. I'm doing Sens on Demand for the first year. So going to be there even more than I was last year. And I ended up doing 11 games when I told myself, we'll try and do 3 or 4. But that's how it is.
Was 11 on purpose?
It wasn't actually. I had 10 scheduled. And then towards the end of the year, it was actually Centennial. They had a pair up for the Edmonton game. And I was like,
Hell
sure.
yeah.
Why not? It was a good deal. I'll go see
For the
McDavid.
Edmonton game.
Yeah. And it was a good deal. I was like, okay, I'll go see McDavid live. We're probably going to lose. We end up winning, surprisingly, towards the stretch last year. But yeah, that was a good one.
That's awesome. Yeah, those Centennial boys are awesome. As are you, Tanner. Appreciate your time, man. We'll do this again down the road.
For sure. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Stick taps to Tanner for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. Make sure you're following him on social media. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is Ottawa Senators prospect Gabriel Eliason, everyone's favorite Sens prospect, will represent Sweden at the upcoming U20 Five Nations tournament in Switzerland at the end of August. It's nice to see prospects getting onto their respective international squads, Ross. I'm not that familiar with this tournament. Maybe you can fill me in with kind of the ramifications of this tournament, but it's good to see our prospect on a list. I'll just say that.
Exactly. Well, what it is, and our guy Sens Prospects posting this morning, but it's one of those where it's a matter of viewing for the international body about the same age group. So they do that World Junior Summer Showcase, and then they have the Five Nations. The rosters, if the teams want, could be identical. It's an under 20 tournament between the Five Nations. I believe that Canada, USA, Sweden, Finland, and don't quote me on the 5th, but maybe Czechia, maybe. Yep. But what I can tell you is that this is an opportunity for Eliason to set himself up to be on the radar for the World Juniors. I think there's some guys ahead of him, albeit Sweden did not have a huge draft class this year of top-end talent. Last year they did, so there'll be some 19-year-olds back, but it's just an opportunity for him. Last year in 22 international games, he had 77 penalty minutes. So I think it's an opportunity for him to show that he can play mean, play physical, but not take penalties. So I'm hoping, a clean 0, 2, or 4 penalty minutes for Gabriel Eliason. That's what we're looking for in this tournament.
No chance he has a clean sheet in PIMS. No chance. Not our guy Gabe.
Not Gabe. Gabe's the kind of guy you just got to kind of let him be his own beast out there.
Yeah, the thing about Gabe is he's going to be out there and he's going to be mean, and hopefully he can really showcase himself, because if we could have Yakimchuk and Eliason and the nation's capital for World Juniors, that would be a real treat.
This is at the end of August, so there's going to be a couple things we're following at the end of August, because Mads Søgaard and Team Denmark are going to be in the Olympic qualifiers. Yes. Some news this week in Winnipeg was that Nikolai Ehlers has confirmed he's going to play in that tournament as well. So that's a huge boost for Team Denmark. He's got to be their most talented offensive player. And we know Freddie Anderson might be in the mix there. We'll see, but would love to see Mads get in some games late in the summer. Final thoughts for me, Pillsy, not to open a huge can of worms. I know we're up against it, but nothing going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs that's worth talking about, right?
No, I don't think. I know what you're talking about. They got Alex Nylander, so they got the Nylander brothers.
Right. No, they also decided that 6 years of John Tavares out of 7, well, they were just going to make the 7th very uncomfortable, as I know he's on hand for the announcement. I'm probably overplaying a little bit, but the Toronto Maple Leafs making a change at captain. Austin Matthews is now the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Some would say this is long overdue. Others that would like to make as much drama out of the Toronto Maple Leafs as possible is that, wow, how can these two coexist? Isn't it embarrassing that a respected veteran like John Tavares wasn't given the accolade to at least like wait until the end of his contract next season?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be around after that, but
Whoa.
Ross, it's very important to know John will wear an A. So all is well in Leafs land.
Okay, great. Just to switch up, nothing to see here. If they get off to a slow start, I'm sure all the media is going to be very cool about it.
Yeah, it's not going to be an issue at all.
Well, I posted, I said, Steve Simmons getting ready to grill Matthews after a third loss or even a second loss in a row in November. And it's like the WWE entrance, glass shattered, stone cold, smashing beer cans off his head, just ready to go. So we know that media microscope in Toronto, it's not for the faint of heart. So I'm curious to see. Now, Austin Matthews is by far the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
He's arguably the best player in the Eastern Conference, but I'm curious to see how he handles the microscope in Toronto. Not that he hasn't already been under it as the highest paid player, the best Leaf, all that, but it's a bit different when you're the one talking to the media every single day.
Yeah, part of me thought Matthews might not want to be the captain. Like
they missed out. The funniest thing they could have done was give it to Mitch Marner.
That would have been all time bad. I wonder how Morgan Riley feels about that decision.
Yeah, start the conversation.
Yeah.
Trouble in paradise. All right, that's our show. Really appreciate Tanner for joining us. Thanks so much for watching, listening, subscribing, following the show, interacting with us. It means a lot to us in the middle of summer, middle of August, but Sens hockey is around the corner. We will have our first Ring of Honor this Friday. The Martian is on. We are going to be drafting our top moments of the last season. And I can already tell based on all the rules that are being stipulated in the group chat that it's going to get contentious. So stay tuned for that on Friday. Kevin Riedler, Sens goalie prospect, really outgoing young man, will join us next Monday. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. You're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.